enough. You are not good enough. And this is the problem, because your subconscious mind hears that. And the more you keep saying this thing, the more your subconscious mind will keep hearing you are not good enough. I was too hard on myself, and now I fell into the trap of you against you, and you have to push farther, and you have to beat yourself down until you're actually able to stand up and push farther and farther and harder and stronger. Fuck the emotions, fuck the feelings. You're a man, you have to push farther. So I started going to the gym.
Welcome to Keep It Here. In this podcast, I'm talking about transformational and healing journeys. Today, I have a very special guest here. It's Pepito, my brother. He is 20 years old.
Oh, shit.
We met like half a year ago. Back then, he had like a smaller amount of followers. But since then, he grew his Instagram profile super huge. And the special thing about his content for me is that he is posting very purposeful and inspiring things and sharing this with the world. Peppe, in your own words, who are you right now, and what fulfills you the most? What's draining your energy, maybe?
Okay, let's go. So we start with the hardest of the questions. And I appreciate you saying, who are you right now? Because that's very important. Because right now, I'm myself, like before. But the real question shouldn't be who I am, but what I'm here for. And who I am. I've asked myself that question so many times. Am I a poet? Am I an artist? Am I a singer? Am I an entrepreneur? Am I an influencer? Am I an idiot? Am I a dumbass? Am I just a guy having fun? Am I a random dude? Am I a normal day, everyday single motherfucker? Who am I? Who the fuck am I? I'm sure you've asked yourself that question so many times too, because that is indeed the foundation of our existence. Try and figure out who we are and what we're here for. And I think I figured out that I am myself. And the only way and thing and purpose that I've been put here on earth for is that. Just be myself. So there's no actual definition that defines who I am. I can say everything, entrepreneur, whatever, but that's not who I am. That's just a situation that I'm in. Who I am is way deeper than that. It's something more profound. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about you and everybody listening. Who you are is not just what you're doing right now. So, truly, I don't know who I am. And I'm here to figure that out. And this is my process of self-discovery and self-expression. This is what I'm sharing. And this is what I love to inspire people to do. Be more themselves. In a nutshell, that's who I am.
Mm-hmm. And what's happening in your mind right now? What fills your day? What are you thinking about?
Great. So a lot has happened recently in my personal life, and that led me to change some stuff. And now my purpose every day when I wake up, the first thing I tell myself is like, okay, today you just need to be yourself. Literally, that's the first thing I tell myself when I get out of bed in the morning. And when you start your morning by telling yourself that there's nothing wrong you can do except being yourself, and there's nothing wrong in being yourself, and the only thing wrong that you can do is actually being someone you're not, then I focus all my day, all my energy, my intentional energy into being myself and embodying my truth. And this is a change that I've made recently, not long ago. So now what I'm working on, to be very honest, I'm writing a book.
Ooh.
Yes, that's what I'm working on. This is my first, this is my biggest project right now. This is what I invest most energy on these last days, and I'm working on it, and I'm super fucking excited to release this very soon, very, very soon. And yeah, I can't tell the title, but yeah, just stay tuned because it's going to be cool. And you're going to love it too, I'm sure.
What will the book be about?
Can you guess?
Self-expression?
Also, yeah, it's about being you. That's the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not about me. It's just about us, all of us, and what we're here for, and how we can find and choose the reason, the purpose, the meaning to live our life with, to fulfill our lives and live a purposeful life every single day. This is what my book is about.
Okay, talking to you
Yes.
make me feel like I'm talking to a person who's really energetically he's really doing things he loves. Was this always like this?
Great question. Do you think it could have ever always been like that? Absolutely not. There were times where it wasn't like that at all. And I didn't like that times, and that's why I changed. But anyway, let's go back if that's what you're asking. So where I'm coming from in terms of where my process started and what I was doing before that. Basically, I was trying to figure out who I was, and I was just trying to live life through the script of that had been given to me, and just follow the steps that you have to follow. You go to school, you grow, you choose college, then you go to college, then you find a job, then whatever. But I've always felt that this kind of structured journey, prepped, like a meal prep, that just didn't fit to me. I didn't want that. I wanted to craft my own meal, to craft my own existence, my own journey. And that's why I dropped everything down, and now I'm going just for my mission, just my purpose. That's why recently, like in September, I made the radical decision to quit school. So I quit studying. I was studying entrepreneurship because being an entrepreneur is part of who I am. And I realized, like, I don't want to go that way. For a matter of principle, like, I want to build my own way, you know? I want to be the crafter of that. And I think we all have the tools to do that. And so for me, it's a process of self-liberation and removing what's not me, removing what has never been me, and actually going to the core of who I am, and so that I can express that very fully and just share my message with the world.
Was it hard for you to stop studying?
No. Like, it wasn't hard at all, because I didn't even know why I was actually doing that. Like, I was doing that because I was following some preconceptual, preconsidered structure of, like, okay, I have to fulfill my parents' will of studying, and I have to do that, otherwise, who the fuck am I? You know? If I'm not gonna study, if I'm not gonna have a degree, a bachelor, who the fuck am I? But that exact question, that principle of not wanting to be defined by a bachelor, that's what drives me the most in doing what I love to do and just being myself unapologetically. That's the journey I'm on right now.
For me, it was not easy. I also stopped studying. I also studied entrepreneurship, and I think it would have been harder for me if I wouldn't have founded my first company during this. And for me it was easier because I already had a new way that felt better, where I noticed. That's why I asked you the question, what fulfills you and what costs you the most energy. For me, the studying costs me so much energy, but I thought I have to go through this because my parents wanted me to have a degree, and I thought I need a degree. And as I experienced for the first time, I'm doing something that I'm happy about, standing up in the morning and doing, that I love, where I really gaining energy out of doing this, then it was easier for me to decide, okay, this feels right and this not.
Exactly. You just explained it perfectly. That's why it was easy for me, because I was already doing something I loved, which is social media, and I was sharing my message, and I was already earning something. I was having an income through that. So I was at the point where, like, okay, if I can do all of this while rocking school, I can also just focus 100% of my attention and energy onto doing what I love. And so for me, there was this liberation of, like, I truly tuned into my inner being and just try and feel how it felt for me to go to school. And it was like, I asked myself this question, should I go to school? And then my belly like crumped, like, oh man, you don't want to go to school. Why would you go to school? And then I'm like, should I just keep doing what I love? And I was like, keep doing what you love, bro. You know, like, it's just, sometimes you just need to listen to your body, to yourself, and you know exactly where to go, you know? This intuitive knowing of, like, I sit down, I just silence my mind, and I just ask myself those questions. And that's where you find the best answers, because those are your answers, nobody else's. Nobody's telling you, Elias, you should go to school because of that, you should get a degree because of that. It's your true will of doing something. And that's for me the biggest drive that one can have, just doing things from a place of self-respect and self-honor, to be like, okay, I choose intentionally to put my time and all my energy onto something I choose and love and feel very grateful for, rather than, in my opinion, wasting potential in doing something I'm not really interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, the decision doesn't came out of laziness.
Absolutely.
It came out of, I want to go further. I want to work on me. I want to create something, but I don't want to study.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that's so important that you're saying that, because, you know, there might be people out there thinking like, this spiritual dude, the guy, what the fuck is he doing? Like, he quit school. What is he doing? He's just playing around. Yes. That's what life is about for me. And that realization of like, it's not out of laziness. And that's what they picture it like. Maybe they make you feel like, yeah, but you're just not willing to go through the hard part. I'm like, why would I choose the hard path when I can choose my path, you know? And also the thing is, for anyone who truly knows me and knows who I am, like, I am the farthest thing from lazy. Like, I'm too active. I might be even hyperactive or shit, you know? So I do much, and I love learning. I always say it since I was younger, since I was very young, and I always love this quote. And even on my first YouTube video, I mentioned that I am a very good student of life. That's who I am, because I just love learning. I love listening and tuning in and just observing and catching every lesson that life holds for me in every second, moment, breath, sentence, word, everything. So I didn't quit studying because I don't want to study. I didn't quit studying because I don't want to learn or I don't want to grow. It's just because I know that I can grow more through my own process, rather than having someone choosing what I need to learn, you know? And having control and my own power over what I choose to feed my mind with. That's so powerful, bro, because it's like you're not getting programmed anymore. You're breaking the cycle, like, okay, from today on, I am programming myself for success. Because let's be very honest, those schools are there not necessarily are meant for you to be successful. Even when you're studying entrepreneurship, you know, like I was doing that, and I don't want to shit on my school. That was great, and I had a great experience. It wasn't a choice of like I don't like the school. It's more of like this is not my path. You know, that's the choice that I took. That's why. And now straight towards it.
Yeah, I think everyone needs a different medicine, and for some people, I met those people in my university. They were really like fitting in this system of studying. They were like really like being excited, and I saw they are growing and learning through the studies. And I saw myself. I really had hard times to. I also have ADHS, and or like how do you call it in English? ADHD. And for me, it was so hard to watch someone staying in front of me and talking 2 hours. Like,
my mind is like projects and doing this and that and thinking about existential questions and reality itself, and the most spiritual downloads I had during lessons. So yes. I feel you absolutely.
I had like everything in my mind, just not listening to the teacher. I really tried, you know. I woke up in the morning. I went running. I already did sports. I made some food for myself. I brought like 1 liter of green tea within the university, and I thought, today I'm going to rock this shit. I'm going to learn what I'm here for. And then, as soon as the lesson started, I could like I just could count after this. Like latest after 15 minutes, I'm still looking at the teacher. I'm still looking at him. He's still talking, but my mind is somewhere else, and I'm like waking up after 5 minutes, like I was dreaming, and like. Oh fuck! It happened again.
Exactly.
And this was so hard. And then I experienced, for me, how I learn, which is doing something.
Oh yes,
It's
very similar.
for me learning is happening through like trying and failing.
Oh yes.
Trying and failing, trying and failing. And this is how I learn. Sometimes people ask me like, you already did it 3 times. For example, I first founded my company with my mother. It was very beautiful, and I'm super grateful to have had this experience. But it was also very draining, energy draining, because we had so many topics from our childhood. It's still my mother, and I'm still her son, and it's not making business easier.
Yeah, can imagine.
And after first founding with my mother, my second company I founded
The
with,
brother.
with my girlfriend.
Oh, even worse.
And again, I found myself in a situation where I was like mixing up family partnership and business, and like after the second time, I felt like, okay, now I understand. Now I felt and experienced it 2 times, and now I changed my way of thinking, and also my way of acting. And this is how it works for me always. It's always trying out, failing, trying out again, and this is how I learn. And when I founded my first business, I know this is how it should work for me.
Exactly, but it's very beautiful and very true and important what you said, and I agree. It's like, and I don't want to. That's why I don't want to shit on school system and stuff like that. Like, I think it is very important for some people to go through that, and that's their way of learning. But I also came to realization, I think that's what connects us very well as well, that I'm not meant for that. I'm learned to try and learn and do. I'm a doer, you know. I speak, I think, I do. That's just the way I work. And I'm just being there, listening and trying to understand things, it just didn't work for me, because that's not what I was supposed to do. And I was there listening to the teacher, as you said, and I was already thinking what to do next. Like, okay, yes, good theory, but what is my next step? You know, it's just like, for me, it's a doing process, and that's the same way it worked out for my social medias. I didn't plan it. I started, I did it, I failed, I did it again, and I actually succeeded. And that's, for me, how life works in my perspective. So absolutely, that's it.
How was the little Peppe? You're coming from Sicily, right?
Yes.
Well, how was your childhood, and how you became the person that you are today?
Interesting question, deep question. So, yeah, I'm coming from Sicily, Italy, for the ones who don't know where Sicily is. And it's basically one of the southernmost point in all Europe, especially in Italy. And it's a very collectivistic culture, and it's a very close-minded culture and very traditional, still based on tradition, like Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is still very much controlling on society, and nothing against, you know, religion itself or Christianism, etc., but just the church structure there, it's very corrupted and very present in the way people live their lives. So everything is, many topics are still taboo, and again, the fact that the society is very collectivistic doesn't leave much space for you to explore your inner world, because people are actually just hiding themselves into the collectiveness. So they're trying to merge and, you know, hide into the surface of being. It's like if you enter a room and you see all these 50 people and they all look kind of the same, so you kind of don't recognize the individual itself, but it becomes a collective. And in this collective culture, I just didn't fit. I couldn't fit. I just struggled through my childhood, through especially my teenage years, when I started actually awakening to my own individuality. And so I remember having a hard time, especially as my little Peppe, he loved food, so much food. He ate a lot, like whatever food, doesn't really matter. The dirtiest, the better. so that brought me to be overweight and be what I would say a fat kid. So that being a fat kid is a part of me that is still alive, is still within me, and that part hasn't really loved himself enough, and it probably will never, or I'm still learning to love that being, that little Peppe still nowadays. And basically all that, you know. And again, believe me, I couldn't say that I got bullied, but I can say I bullied myself. That's the point. Like, I was very harsh on myself, and I was very critical of myself and the way I looked, and I didn't want to go to the beach. I didn't want to go to the pool. And you can imagine, Sicily is a hot country. It's almost all year round. You can be without t-shirt, maybe 3 months in the winter not. But you can imagine me as a child. I just want to go to the beach. Everybody's going to the beach. Everybody abs and shit. And I'm like there with my little boobs and my little belly. And I'm like, fuck. I hated that. Like, it just made me feel so insecure and just made me feel like I didn't fit. And again, it was just a personal judgment and a personal criticisms, but that's something that I definitely brought with me, and that's what brought me into my teenage years when I was like 14. Actually, when COVID came, that's when my transformation journey began, because that's where I truly realized, okay, this is my life, and only me have the power to change my current situation, so I have to start doing something. And when COVID-19 came, I remember everybody being so pessimistic about it, but I fucking loved it, because I had the time to be home with myself for 3 months, and I remember the exact daily routine I had. I ran 5 kilometers every single day. I did 200 push-ups every single day, 500 crunches every single day, and I read something like 15 books in 3 months, and I was 14, and I fucking love that. And that I came into Corona times being one being, and I came out being a different being. I remember, bro, I went in and I was fat. I had a belly, fat, and I came out with abs. 3 months transformation. I love that. And I remember coming out, people were like, what the fuck did you do, bro? Like, I was Corona, I was just eating all the time, home, you playing video games. What happened to you? I'm like, sometimes you just got to grab the opportunity, you know? And that's what I did, and I loved it. I loved it, and that's where my journey started. And then growing older, and I remember I was 16, and I was studying in my school, and it was a humanistic subject school based, which means that I was having a lot of philosophy, literature, Latin, Greek, all this classical knowledge that gave me that expanded my mind a lot of communication skills and just reflecting and thinking skills. And that's where I was very blessed and lucky to have a super good philosophy teacher, which we are still in contact, and I love her and she loves me. We're super connected. And to make it very funny, she even says I'm her mentor now. And it's so fucking beautiful, and I love her. I fucking love her. And we have such a good relationship. And I was so blessed because during Corona time, when we had like this distant type of school, she organized a collective meditation session with one of the best meditation teacher in Italy, which is called Daniel Lumera. And we had this guided live session with Daniel, and he guided us through his meditation. And remember being so shocked by the power of meditation. I remember sitting down, putting my headphones, just listening, and 10 minutes in the meditation, and I was crying so bad, and I was feeling so many emotions, and I just realized, what the fuck? There is so much more than what I actually knew about. And that opened me to the journey of self-discovery and self-exploration. That's where I actually started diving deeper into meditation and all of that is because I needed to figure out what had just happened to me. Like, where did my mind go, you know?
Why did you cry?
Oh, okay, this gets very personal. I cried because basically that was a few weeks before I had to leave for Germany, and because I applied for a scholarship and I won the scholarship to go to Costa Rica, but then they canceled my journey because COVID-19 came and they told me you can only go to Germany, and I said, please let me go out of this country, just send me somewhere, send me to Germany, and I took the opportunity. So I knew I was gonna go to Germany, and back then I was into a relationship, I was in some situationships, and I realized that I was gonna leave all of that behind my back, and the meditation was about letting go. And so that meditation just got me straight to my heart, because I remember the exact same words of Daniel. They were something like, imagine a person you love, look into their eyes, and visualize them being in front of you, saying thank you for who they are and what they've given to you, and then let them go. And that just broke me into pieces. That letting go, it was so hard. But I let go, and then I left my country when I was 16, and that's where my journey started. That's where I actually started experiencing myself truly. Because once I went out of my country, and I left alone during COVID-19, so everybody was trying to get in, and I'm like, good, perfect time to go out. So I went out, and I arrived in Germany, and I remember spending so much time alone, and that being alone gave me so much depth to actually explore myself. And something that really changed it all for me was realizing that the moment I landed in Germany, I had this big breakthrough where I realized, like, fuck, people don't know me here. They don't know who I am. The self identity that I've created so far, the self identity that has been put on me, the characteristics, my personality, all of that doesn't exist here, only exists in my mind. So I have the power to change that, to shift that, to create the me I always wanted to be. And so that gave me the freedom to start expressing myself how I've always wanted. And I remember going out every single day on the streets, and what I was doing is I was just going out and I was walking, and whoever I met, no matter who, and there were groups of people, 30 people, 15 people, you know how Germany is, they were just all together drinking beers and stuff, and I just walked to everybody and just, hey guys, I'm Peppe, I don't know anyone, can we be friends, can I just sit with you and just enjoy whatever you're doing? And everybody loved that, because Germany is also quite a cold country, and as a Sicilian, and I'm the opposite, I'm so fiery, I'm so open.
Yeah.
Ooh. And so basically, people, every time they got shocked, like, what is this dude wanting? And I was like, nothing, I just want to chill with you guys and connect. And so I did this every day for 6 months. And I remember my host family, I love them, hi if you're listening, and they were like, bro, what the fuck are you doing every day? Why are you going out every day? Like, and I just couldn't stop. I love to go out and experience the world with my new fresh eyes, with my new fresh self-created identity. And that gave me so much freedom. And that's where my journey started. And that's where I had the courage for the first time to show myself online. And that's where my journey started.
Mm-hmm. And before, like you said, you created your new identity. Mm-hmm. What changed?
Great question. So, I think what changed the most was the focus that I had, and it shifted from being a collectivistic focus of like, okay, all I knew about was living in a family and living in a society where everybody has to kind of be together and we all grow together, and arriving in Germany, realizing that was the opposite, kind of like in a individualistic society where everybody's just living for themselves, just living for their own purpose and growing personal development. For the first time I understood, I actually discovered the existence of personal development. And I was like, what do you mean personal development? Isn't it supposed to be collective development? And that just shifted everything, because I shifted from being in between someone and some people into being for myself. And that actually allowed me to give time to myself. And so, because again, as Sicily is a very collectivistic culture, there's not so much space for yourself. Everybody lives kind of together. We live in families, in collectives. So even with friends, we hang out every day with friends. Every night we chill together. We just do something together. And I've realized getting there, that is just a way of self-avoidance, just avoiding yourself, your inner being, because actually you cannot sit still with yourself. So you go out with friends and drink and do all of that because you're escaping your own inner world. But that is not, I'm not blaming that, because that is how the culture works. And that's how I worked till that moment. But when I arrived in Germany, I gave space to myself. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I can just stay home one night and give myself attention and not need to go and chill with someone. And that was like, what? Is this even possible? And that changed completely for me, because since that day, I remember what I did every day was I watched like for 6 months, every day, TED Talks and videos like that for 6 months straight about communication, about all of that. And that's where I actually learned so much. And the fun fact was that I was sent there to go to school, and my Italian gesture came out. Anyway, I was sent there to go to school, but I was sent, and I was sent to a girls' school. So it was just me and 1,500 girls alone.
What?
The Italian boy and the girls' school. That sounds like a whole journey itself. So that was a journey, and that was fun for the
But
first.
how?
Yeah, good question.
How did they put a boy
Yeah,
into a girl's
that's
school?
the question I
This
always
is
get.
actually the dream maybe of every young boy.
Yeah, that I don't know. Some manifestation must have come true, but I don't know what happened. So basically, because I couldn't speak a word in German, I couldn't speak. I wasn't supposed to go to Germany. I was supposed to go to Costa Rica, so I was already learning Spanish. And then they sent me to Germany. I'm like, what the fuck is German? You know? And so I couldn't speak. And what they did is, because my host family was half German, half American, and my host sister, she's a native speaker, and they put me together with her in school so that she could help me understand something and, you know, just get along or just understand what's going on, because otherwise I would have been thrown like a little fat sack in school and like, okay guys, that's cool, but what's going on? Like, I don't get shit of what you're saying. So that's why they sent me there, to have some support from my host sister. And so that was very beautiful in the very beginning, because, you know, you're a 16-year-old boy, you enter a school full of girls, you're the only boy, it's like fun. But then it became not fun at all, because at a certain point I was like, yo, where are my boys at? You know, where are my boys? I need my boys. Like, I'm not meant to. I just couldn't be there with all these girls all the time, and it got very uncomfortable and very, just very, very weird, because I didn't felt like I was belonging there. I'm like, what the fuck? And the girls, they got very shy at a certain point, and they didn't come and talk to me. I remember I just had 2 friends in that school, and they were just staring at me and looking at me like some sort of thing, and I'm like, fuck, can I hide or something? And then I remember I spent sometimes the last months I spent every break in the toilet closing myself, because I felt so uncomfortable in being there. Also because you cannot use your phone outside, so imagine standing like 1 hour in the break there with nothing to do and nobody's coming to talk to you, they're just all looking at you kind of. So that was very uncomfortable, and for the first time I experienced catcalling from the other side. So I was having this little girls, especially, they were the most fiery one, they were catcalling on me. Like, I was walking, and they were, especially because the building was made of glass. So they were just knocking on the glass and just like sort of screaming and yelling and then running away, and nobody was coming to talk to me. I was like, yo, what the fuck, is this a circus? Am I the clown or what's going on? So it felt very uncomfortable. And then I asked the headmaster to switch me to the boys' school, and that was the complete opposite. There was like kind of going to jail, because there was just boys, just male teachers, and that was so funny. And since we're here, I just want to share a funny anecdote. The first day that I arrived at the boys' school, just to tell you what the vibe was. So I arrived at the school, and the boys invited me like yo bro, and they all together they embraced me coming. And then I immediately got into the older group, the most popular guys in the school. And I remember my brother Maxi, if he's hearing this, I love you, bro. And basically what happened is, we went to the first lesson. I just came in, I got embraced by these boys, and then we got to the first lesson, which was sport, and the teacher was a male teacher. And that lesson I will never forget in my whole life, because basically what happened is, and that's like, I was like, what the fuck? So they call me inside, and they're like, okay, let's start the lesson. And the teacher is like, okay guys, all the guys around, you, the Italian new guy, and Maxi, the strongest guy, in the middle. And I'm like, what's going on? And it's like, yes, before you can start, you have to earn the presence here. Let's do a push-up challenge. And that's how it started. So I had this group of boys standing around me, these new boys I didn't know, and I was 16-year-old boy with the biggest guy, 18-year-old guy, bald. It looked like he just came out of jail. I love you, bro. And basically, he said like, okay, now down, push-up challenge. But there was a secret that I didn't tell anybody. In that period, it was my calisthenic phase, and I was training 200 push-ups a day. So I was very confident about my push-up challenge possibilities. So I remember Maxi was like, bro, I'm gonna fuck you, I'm gonna beat you, you're gonna die on the floor. I'm like, okay. Then when we go down on the ground, everybody like the boy. You can imagine a group of boys in school with a male teacher just being a push-up challenge. And so we go down and we start. And I remember 50, 55, bam, maxi on the ground. And I do 60. And everybody like, what the fuck? This guy's 16, just beat it, Maxi. And Maxi is the biggest guy of the school. So since that day, it was like so much respect, so much love out of that boys' school. And I had so much fun there. It was very, very fun. And I remember we were just being boys and we were being so stupid. And we were going to the supermarket and just doing a mess there and just fun things. But anyway, there was definitely some fun time. Definitely some fun time.
Sounds like a high school movie.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Maxi, bro. I tell you, you can ask Maxi. Like I'm sure he still remembers, and because they must have born here, you know.
Was it where was the school?
In Ersel, in Bonn.
In Ersel.
Yeah.
In Ersel.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not far from the school where I went.
Yeah, it's not far.
Crazy. Okay. Cool. And during this time, you already started with your Instagram or like social media.
Yeah, during this time, I started my TikTok, and that was now that I'm reflecting back in a very open, authentic way, that was my ego-centered state. So I was just a 16-year-old boy. I was feeling myself. I was feeling very good. I was feeling good in this new country. I was feeling confident. I was exploring myself. And without blame, without judgment, I started doing TikToks. And I remember the first period, I was doing this sort of sexy boy TikToks, and I was using the viral sounds and the trending songs and just writing some little text. And what happened is that very, very fast, I grew a big amount of following on TikTok, and I have some videos going very viral with millions of views and shit. But it was just girls, you know, just girls, and I was just having fun with my facial expressions and just being this whatever I was doing. And then, yeah, something happened.
And how many followers did you had at this time?
At this time, I think I had something like 80,000 followers on TikTok, and I had some videos with 20 million views and 5 million views here and there, 3 million views. That was just daily, basic. Yeah.
What did this make with you to see that so many people from all over the world are following you and watching you expressing yourself and being the sexy Italian boy?
Yeah, that made it. That was fun online, but it wasn't fun outside in the real world because people were making fun of me. You know, they were just like, yeah, the TikToker, and they were not bullying me, but I felt like that because they were making fun of me. They were not seeing my vision. I remember I was with my girl back then, the one I'm still Mara, the one I'm right now, and she didn't like that, of course, because I was receiving so much attention from these girls, and I was kind of putting myself out there for this attention. But the truth is, and you can ask her, I've always told her since the very beginning, this was just a plan. This was a strategy, a process. I was just trying to get very confident in front of the camera and very confident being seen by others. That was what I was doing. I was telling her, trust me, this is just one step in my process. What I'm doing right now is skill acquisition. I'm just learning how to play with my face and just stay in front of the camera and very confidently talking to a camera. That's what I'm doing. That's what I was doing. And that worked. That gave me the confidence of being in front of a camera, so that later on, when my Instagram journey started, which actually started just 9 months ago or something like that, I had the confidence and the skills, the communication skills, and the self-esteem and confidence to just rock it since the very beginning. And otherwise, if I wouldn't have done all the TikTok process, probably I would have needed to learn that skill while doing it. And that gave me so much advantage. And that's why possibly I was able to grow so fucking fast, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you've been to Germany for 1 year?
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Just 6 months.
Just 6 months, but
okay.
Basically because then I got together with Mara, then I was coming back every month and she was coming back. So it's more. I spent a long time in Germany afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back and I was staying there. So it's 6 months was the exchange semester, but then I spent more time and I traveled longer around Europe. We did an interrail with Mara, so just we travel all around Europe by train for 1 month. So I had different experiences back then.
Okay, but how was it after this 6 months coming back to Sicily, to your family?
Yeah, that is the great question. It was horrible, and not for my family. I love my family; they're amazing. But the problem is that I came back with so much more self-awareness of on who I was and what I wanted to do, and I kind of had took on me this individualistic perspective of like self-growth and self-development. So I had started my own personal development journey, and that meant giving myself time and space for myself. And I had so much time alone that when I came back into a collectivistic society that hadn't changed completely while I had transformed myself internally, coming back as a new different being into a place where expected me to come back as I was before, that was so hard, because it's like if I was a puzzle, like my society, my family was a puzzle, and then you take one piece off, you put it somewhere else, and then it transforms and the piece changes shapes, and then you put it back, but it's not fitting anymore. And so that's what I experienced. I wasn't fitting anymore. And I remember I had 2 more years of high school back then, and I fucking hated that. There was so much for me. And basically what happened is I just had a very, very traumatic experience coming back, and part of me was happy to be with my family again, but the part of me that had grown was hurting because I was not in the place I was meant to be, and I felt like I already wanted to go farther, even go to university and stuff, but I had just had 2 more years of school, which led me to a big depression phase in my life where I fell back in self-sabotaging habits. Or I remember I was struggling so much trying to figure out who I was that, just to say externally, for example, I buzz cut my hair and I dyed them pink and I dyed them orange and I dyed them yellow, and that for me shows how much I was actually struggling within. And I remember in school, bro, that was so intense. I remember when I came back, I had this urge to change the system so strong, and I wanted to change it, and I was craving this change, and people didn't understand me and what my intention was. So I had so many fights with teachers. I remember I made cry so many teachers back then, and even the philosophy teacher that I was talking about before, we had so many discussions because I came back as a completely different being and she wasn't ready to face this new version of me. But then we grew together, and also the teachers that I had so much fights and discussions with, they now recognize where I was coming from. And I remember I went back last month and I talked to one of the teacher and we were just laughing about it. Like, she was telling me like, yeah, now I can see where you were coming from, and I can see what that meant for you. And I think it's beautiful that you still tried and expressed yourself and didn't actually hide your own perspective on school. Because what I wanted to do, it was change school to into a place where I could actually feel good and fit in. But that didn't happen because you don't just change a system, you know. And that was a big realization for me, and there was a lot of acceptance coming with that. And then in the end, I just realized I couldn't change it, I could just embrace it. So I embraced my final years of school, and I enjoyed it, and I rocked it. And then in the end, I was free to go.
Mm-hmm. And what bad habits you started doing when you come back, or started doing?
So, good question. So mainly lack of sleep. That's something that definitely characterized me. As if I'm not feeling good, I lack a lot of sleep. And joints, a lot of joints to suppress these emotions and to suppress this feeling of not fitting in. And then what you do is you share these joints with the friends, and you're just out there smoking to just avoid being in with yourself. And although that I was doing that, that was also a period for me to where actually the joints allowed me, in both sides. There was a negative part of it, but the positive part of it was that sometimes I actually took time for myself to sit and smoke. And that's where I discovered the healing power, for example, of the plant, where I could have these profound experiences of diving deeper into my inner world thanks to cannabis and thanks to sitting down and actually breathing through that and experiencing that. So, as always, there's good and positive, good and bad in whatever happens to you. So that was definitely bad, but nothing is actually bad in the end because it brought me exactly here where I am, But that's what happened, yeah. And eating, I remember that's when, that's when what happened was I kind of fell into what I funny call the David Goggins syndrome. That was my period. And what I mean when I say David Goggins syndrome, with much respect for David, I love you, bro. Your journey is amazing. You're a great being. No judge for that. But basically what I mean with that is that I was too hard on myself. And I fell into the trap of you against you. And you have to push farther and you have to beat yourself down until you're actually able to stand up and push farther and farther and harder and stronger. Fuck the emotions, fuck the feelings. You're a man, you have to push farther. So I started going to the gym. I was already going to the gym. I was doing calisthenics and I loved it and I was doing it for fun. But then in that period, I started going to the gym with this anger of like, I have to grow bigger, otherwise I'm fucking nobody. And like this feeling, this David Goggins syndrome of like, I have to overcome myself. I have to defeat myself. And that's why I was going to the gym and I was eating a lot of meat, a lot of shit, just to bulk up, And I actually did take a lot of weight. And I realized like, okay, my genetics ain't that bad. But it led me to so much frustration and so much disappointment because while I was growing bigger, I was actually growing smaller within. And that was the problem. And that hit me so hard when I actually realized, what the fuck am I doing? Who am I doing this for? Who am I fighting against? Myself. That's what they even say. They even speak it out loud. You against you. You versus you. How can you fight yourself when you yourself are the only one who can actually help you and save you? This is just so miserable, And that was for me a big change. And that didn't end up there. Of course, there are some days where the David Goggins syndrome still kicks in and I'm like, fucking motherfucker, why are you doing? You're chilling too much. Go and get your shit done. And that's beautiful. And I think there's some part of this harsh discipline, especially being a man, has to be kept. And my brother Top the other day gave me a beautiful quote that was like, it's almost like you are your own boss, but you are not the boss. And it's like this kind of mindset of like, okay, I do what I want, I do what I like, I do it out of passion, out of love, but I'm still not the one in full control because otherwise I'm easily gonna shift into comfort zone, into distractions and self-sabotaging habits. So you kind of have to still keep a sort of Navy SEAL mindset, but a loving Navy SEAL, one that doesn't beat you down, but just inspires you and motivates you to be better with yourself. So for me, it all shifted when I started realizing that it wasn't you against you, but you for you, you and you with you. That's when it all shifted for me. And that's when my life started changing. That's where I actually started working with me, not against me anymore.
Well, how did this manifest in your life? Like what did you change doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the fun thing is that on the outer world, like from a third perspective position, nothing really changed. But it's the internal mindset that changed, and that changes a lot because I wasn't going to the gym anymore from a place of like, I'm not good enough, I'm hating my body, and that's why I'm going to the gym because I need to grow bigger, because I need to prove other men that I'm worthy. I need to prove myself that I am a beast. I have to prove myself that I can do that I'm hard. I have to grow better because I don't like who I am right now. That was the place where I was coming before. That's what I call the David Goggins syndrome. But it all shifted when I actually started. I still kept going to the gym, but this time I was going like, okay, I'm going to the gym because I love myself, because I honor my body, I respect my body, and that's why I know it's good for me to go to the gym. And that's where everything changed, because even the way I trained, the way I ate changed so much. Because before, as I told you, I was eating so much meat, so much this protein-based diet, and that's where it completely shifted, and I started being vegetarian. I cut completely meat out, and I stopped bodybuilding, which it was just ego building more than bodybuilding. And so I quit ego building, and I went back to what I actually always loved doing, which is calisthenics and body weight exercise. So I went to the gym, and I stopped looking around and be like, is this guy bigger than me? Am I bigger than him? Or like, is this weight heavy enough for them to think I'm strong? And I just was there for me, and I was just having fun. And I was being my little monkey self in the gym and just doing my shit and just having fun. And that's what I'm still doing. And sometimes people look at me in the gym like, bro, what the fuck you doing? Like, I'm just having fun, you know? And that's what I love about this. And I'm still going to the gym. It's just the mindset that is different. That's what makes it all the difference.
Mm-hmm. So you had this change while still being in Sicily.
Yeah.
You came there. You noticed you've changed. First it was hard, and then you started loving yourself more.
Yeah.
And when did you leave? Well, you right now you're living in Antwerp, right?
Yes. So I left Sicily as soon as I was done with school, which means a year and a half ago, something like that. And so yeah, you mentioned something right. So I was still in Sicily when this shift happened. But although this shift was already being, worked and warmed up by my own meditation process and my own exercise and my own inner work and my own self-reflectiveness and self-loving rituals that I kind of had built in time. I was every day meditating, for example. Every day meditating. There was a habit that I started doing when I was like 16, every day meditating. And I still keep it up till today, almost every day. Sometimes I also skipped, but it's fine. It's part of the process. What I'm trying to say is that the real shift, the real awakening to spirituality and to the real understanding and realization of what self-love means, and possibly just what love means itself, happened in Germany when I was 18, when I had my first psychedelic ceremony with psilocybin. I had it with a shaman from Berlin, Marion. Love you, Marion. If you're listening, you're great. Thanks you for opening up to this word. And basically, I had this wonderful session. And oh God, so wonderful. Wonderful is a big word because it wasn't fun. It was not fun at all. I remember setting up the intention and looking at it from the perspective of now. It might sound like a brave intention to set, but there wasn't bravery. It was more of like, I was naive. I didn't know what was expecting me. And so I asked the shaman, can you give me the higher doses possible? And my intention was, I want to face my demons. I want to face my shadows. And that's what happened. So I went through one of the hardest journey of my life. For 6 hours, I cried my ass out, and I cried so much. Panic mode. I wanted to rip my hair off. I wanted to rip my clothes off. I just was crawling on the ground, and I was going through this existential loop of questions, deep questions, and those were my shadows. These questions I couldn't answer. Who am I? What am I doing here? What is my purpose on earth? What is it? What is the meaning of all of this? Why the fuck am I doing this? Why do I keep looping with no meaning in this? Like, and then I remember the loop consisted in being like, so what the fuck am I doing here? This doesn't make any sense. There's no meaning. What am I doing this? What am I doing? What am I doing? And then wait, I don't give a fuck. Yes, but what the fuck am I doing here? Where am I? And it kept going like this for like 6 hours, and I couldn't get out until something shifted, something snipped inside of me. Also thanks to the help of the shaman that kind of got my back. And what happened is I realized that there's no meaning. There's no meaning whatsoever. There's no truth. And the act of seeking itself was making me blind. You know, I was seeking, but I was not realizing that I didn't have to seek. I just had to listen and be. And that I could choose my own meaning to this fucking existence and weird experiment of life. And that for me changed it all, because I shifted from the perspective of being like the pessimistic nihilistic perspective of being like, in the period I was studying Nietzsche and all these philosophical perspectives of like that life has no meaning and God is dead for humans and all of this. So I was like, I shifted from the pessimistic point of view of like life sucks because there's no meaning in it, and I will never find my meaning because there's no meaning, and so what is the reason of doing anything whatsoever? And I shifted from this to life has no meaning, which means I can do what the fuck I want with it, and I can choose myself who to be and what to live for, and I can choose the reason why I wake up in the morning, every morning. I can choose that, and that's that freedom of being like, holy shit, this is just like a video game. This is just like a movie. I'm out here writing my own script, writing my own movie, being both the actor and the director of the shit that is going on here. And that blew me out so much from my zoomed in perspective of like, what the fuck am I doing? With like, wow, there is so much more to life than just what I'm doing here. And it kind of opened me up, and it showed me. I remember I had a specific vision, and I saw myself in older vests, and I was like, I saw myself in this wise old man with like white beard and white hair. But the thing is, I realized that this old man wasn't separate from me. It was living within me. So it's almost like I experienced a glitch in time, and I was like, I was being both my young self and my old self at the same time, like right now, you know? And the old self is in me right now as it is in you, because you are already in you, you know? You will just unfold farther. And that realization gave me so much ownership over myself, where I could actually stand up for my truth and follow my divine mission rather than just following a script that society had handle over to me. That changes fucking all, bro. And I just want to make sure that I specify and clarify this, is that what I saw, what happened, is just a trailer, you know? I just had a trailer. Like when you open YouTube and before you want to watch a movie and you see the trailer, that's what I see. I saw a trailer of how my life could be if I actually put in the work. And luckily enough, and I feel blessed for having the chance and the openness to receive that message. When I was 18, I figured out in that moment, this will not just happen. I have to work for it. I have to work every day. I have to stand up every day and work towards my vision. It's not just going to manifest itself like this. It's going to take me sweat and blood, but that's worth it. And that's much more worth it than being stuck somewhere I don't belong, you know? And that's where my journey started. That's where my spiritual awakening happened. And from there on, blessings. And a lot of darkness too. Mm-hmm. As above, so below.
I somehow experienced something similar. At this time, it's like 5 years ago, I was on a party with my girlfriend at this time, and we took MDMA, had a beautiful party, came back, and at this point our relationship was not easy, and we had a lot of fights, a lot of thoughts about breaking up, and I was sitting in the bed next to her, and I was like, you know, I think we have different expectations of life. I expect something different than you. Mm-hmm. And then she asked me, what are your expectations of life? And then I started mumbling something like, for me, it's important. And then I noticed, fuck, I don't know what my expectations of life is. And then I took out a piece of paper, and I was like, let's write down what our expectations of life is. And we chose 4 different topics. Mm-hmm. First topic was lifestyle, where we wrote everything like reading books 5 times a week, or meditating, eating vegan, whatever lifestyle defines for you, and writing down what the perfect me would do.
Yeah.
Like as I felt like I'm creating a person in this moment, like a Sims. Do you know Sims? The game where you
I haven't played,
like,
but I know what you mean.
it's a game where you like you create a character, and you can make the character big, you can make him small, you can choose what he's wearing, you can choose if he goes to the gym, you can choose which girl he's like approaching and later being together with. And I felt like this, and I thought I'm creating myself. So we had lifestyle, we had like what we are doing, like work or like career. Career was one part. Then we had relationships, like everything that comes, what we want our relationships be, or want to be. And the fourth topic was the character.
Okay.
Like I want to be, and then we wrote, I am, for example, humbled, or I am focused, or whatever. And I was sitting there with her, and we were writing down. I was still under the influence of MDMA, and I was crying.
Oh.
I was crying so badly because I thought I found out how to change the world.
Shit,
I thought like it's just about writing down what you want, and then it will fulfill. And I thought I understood everything, and I felt like, yeah, I had a big breakthrough, and I thought my life will change totally after. And then after I slept, I still was in the afterglow, and I was like, wow, crazy, now I can start. But then I noticed I still have to do work.
Yeah.
And it didn't came like this. I didn't change my whole life from today to tomorrow. It's more work. It's more. I noticed I need to be passionate. I tried things sometimes 10 times, failed, tried again, failed, tried again.
Yeah.
And I think this is what it taught me. It's not just about understanding or like seeing or like receiving. It's also about integrating and like really go where you want to go or where you want to be.
Yes, absolutely. Taking inspired actions and doing the work every day. And also, I would be very careful with the word perfect. You say you put out the perfect you, and if you do something like that, you're programming yourself to fail, because there's no perfect you, and then you will never be perfect. So if you try and visualize a perfect version of you, you create a distance between who you truly are and that version of you. So when you're actually trying to get closer to that, you only get farther, because there's no perfect you, there's only you, like you are, with all your flaws and imperfections. And that's, for me, the most powerful realization. It was like to not try and be perfect, but try and be me. Not perfect, but real, raw, authentic, failing and being good with that because it's part of the process. Succeeding and celebrating that because it's part of the process, but not being fixated with the perfection of it, and not being fixated with the achievements of it, and just step by step, day by day. And that comes with a lot of patience for me, especially because I'm a very, very fast-paced dude. Like, I go so fast in what I do. Like, I have a vision and I go so fast in it. And that's good. And it gives me a momentum to actually manifest and do the shit I want to do. But sometimes it gets too much in my head and I'm too focused on the future where actually all I need to do is just be here and now and embrace where I am right now in this moment and just allow God's plan to unfold for me, and just allow myself to flow into this journey of life without putting expectation of me. And actually for me, the journey was removing these expectations that society had put on me, or that I thought society had put on me, when actually those were just my expectation of myself, And there was a part coming from my family, a part coming from the people around me, definitely the society. There still are, but that's part of the journey. I received a call 2 days ago from my grandpa, and he was calling me, and he was like, "You have to go back to school. What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, yeah, I love you. You know, like I cannot change that perspective, and it's okay, and it's fine. I just have to stand confident in who I am and where my journey will bring me. And with that confidence and with that unconditional trust that everything is unfolding just for me, and even when things don't work out, it actually is for a better reason, like having a better podcast right now than the one we didn't record before.
Yeah, like a short story. We just recorded the podcast, like it was 2.5 hours, and it was such an interesting talk, and I was so happy after saying the last word, and I was like, brother, this was amazing. And then Peppe looked at the timer, and he was like, how long did we speak? Doesn't it show how long we did record? And I checked the screen, and I was like looking for the numbers, and I was like,
Fuck.
fuck. And what I really enjoyed was that we both were totally fine with
Yeah,
it.
we just laughed. You just have to laugh at it, you know, like
We had some good food. We were like celebrating ourselves for what we have already created and not brought to reality. But yeah, then it was also totally sure that we are finishing this and not going home
absolutely no.
without achieving what we are here for.
Like David Goggins says, get the job done, man. Get the shit done.
Yeah. This is really beautiful, and for me this was beautiful to experience this, that we both really accepted this, and it was not like making our mood bad. We just here again talking, and it's interesting again.
With it. Yeah, it's even better. I told you.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. So to come back to your story,
Yes.
you had the mushroom ceremony.
Yes.
And you had a crazy experience.
Yes.
What happened after? So you were visiting Germany at this time, or were you living here?
Yeah, I was visiting. I was there for vacation. It was like New Year Eves. So I was there with my girlfriend family, and I was visiting, and then I went back to Sicily to finish my school. So I came back once again, fully changed, fully transformed within. And how do you explain that? And this is something I think everybody can relate to, and it's like when you have your spiritual awakening, when you find out the universe within you, then the first reaction besides shock is I need to share this. I need to share this with the people I love. I need the people I love to experience this too. I need the people I love to change like I'm changing. I need to change them. And that's where you start with the dark part of it. Because the people you love are not ready for that. And the people you love cannot change you. You should not try and change them. But the only thing you can do is accept them and accept yourself as well, and the differences that are growing, and it's part of the journey. And it's not even outgrowing, it's just taking a different path, a different direction, and that hurts so bad because you need to let go. And that letting go of this old version of you and the relationship that the old version of you had with those people you love dies and transforms into something new. And the shift between that person that you were in this situation and the new person being in the exact same situation with the exact same person, the way they were, but different, a new being. This is so hard, and I experienced this the hard way, and I had to learn. To control myself, and so I went in the spirit of like, okay, I have to change them. So I tried to change my friends and my family and stuff like that. And what you do, you create even more distance because you're pushing them away. And basically what you are saying without actually saying, although your intention is very positive and it's very well intentioned, is you are not enough. I need you to change for me to love you and appreciate you as you are. And that's not cool. And sometimes, most of the times, we do this with ourselves. And that's the same thing we were saying before, like when you put yourself in this idea of like, I have to change to do that thing, I have to do these things so I can be a better version of me. What you're actually speaking without speaking that is, I am not good enough right now. And that is a very self-sabotaging truth to speak out loud, or not speak out loud, but just speak in directly in the words you say. For example, when you say like, yeah, when I will have that amount of followers, then I will be good enough. Or I need to go to the gym because I need a bigger body because I'm skinny or I'm too fat. What you're saying in that moment is you are good enough. You are not good enough, and this is the problem, because your subconscious mind hears that, and the more you keep saying those things, the more your subconscious mind will keep hearing you are not good enough. You are not good enough. So you keep programming yourself for failure and for self-hate and denial, and that is a horrible place to be in. So my advice in that situation is embrace who you are, just who you are, unapologetically, in the flows, in all the parts of you. And that was something that I had to learn. For example, I'm gonna bring this question myself up, my ayahuasca journey. So I know you were getting there anyway. So that's something that definitely came up. And yeah,
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just had one thought I want to share. Before we go to the ayahuasca ceremony.
Okay.
I have a very good friend I did many mushroom ceremonies with. It's Lionel. He's also booked in this podcast studio here with me together. And he always, when I saw him holding ceremonies with mushrooms, he always said after the ceremonies, guys, I know what you experienced is crazy. It's amazing. It's shareable. You want to share it. You want to go out, talk to your friends, talk to your family, and share it. But don't do this, because it's lowering the worth of it.
Yeah.
Because if you talk it, I also experienced it when I went out of a ceremony and I experienced magic. It was magic. It was real. And as soon as I talked to my friends and told them, like, this is crazy, I changed so much, I learned, and
they were like, yeah, but you're tripping balls, bro.
Yeah, they were like, no, I don't believe you. Like,
Yeah.
you just took a drink and in the
Yeah.
jungle. What should happen? And in this moment, I made this reality less real.
Yeah. Feel you.
And this learnings got less teachful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm not gonna share my journey right now. But what I was about to share is that something that I had to realize very strongly was the real meaning of having different parts of yourself in yourself and putting that all back together. And then basically, before that, I thought I knew what self-love meant. And that's what I was preaching online. But I realized that wasn't self-love, or it was self-love, but it was loving just one part of the self. It's like I was loving the part of me that I was seeing in the mirror, the part of me that was achieving the things, but deep down, below, inside my being, there were parts of me that were not loved. And so I had to go down and deep and be in those places and see those parts of me, like the fat kid, like the one who was addicted to cannabis, like the other stuff that I'm not gonna share because they're too personal. But I had to go to these parts of me and basically tell these parts of me, I love you. You are enough. I'm sorry that I mistreated you. I'm sorry that I neglected you, that I hated on you, that I've hidden you. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to hide you anymore. I'm going to bring you back to surface, and I'm going to integrate you into who I am. And that's where my journey of true self-expression, of true authenticity and rawness online started. And that journey is for me a journey of self-liberation and self-acceptance and self-growth and exploration as well, and self-discovery, because by speaking your truth what you actually do is you bring the truth to surface so that you can see it and other can see it too, so there's no hidden truth no more, and that truth actually gains value and power because it is your own perspective being out, and you're able to see that from a new perspective, and you're able to shift your own attitude and approach to that part of yourself and actually changing. Only if you actually put it out there, only if you express that truth. But if you keep it hidden, you'll never be able to change that part of yourself. And that's why I changed recently the style of my content online, because I've realized that although I wasn't faking, like there's nothing fake in what I was doing, and there's nothing fake, I optimistically believe into the content creators that are doing the same I'm doing, especially my niche. There's a lot of fake shit out there, but I'm talking about the people who are in my niche. It's not that they're fake, it's just that they're also not truly transparent, you know? And that is for several reasons. And that is part of it is just protection, self-protection, because what you think is, I am protecting myself, but by hiding some parts of me that maybe if I put them out there, people are gonna misunderstand me or see me from a different perspective, and maybe I'm gonna lose credibility or I'm gonna lose trust, especially when you're a coach, for example. And then if you show the people you're supposed to coach that you also not have it all figured out, and you also have your flaws, and you also kind of not know shit about what's going on here, because we all don't know shit about what's going on here. And then when you say this out loud, in truth, in pure confidence, the fear is that people would say like, oh, well, if you don't know it, why should I learn from you? But that's exactly the opposite. What you're doing is you're actually humbling yourself, and you're showing confidence, and you're showing how strong you are in your belief system to speak your truth out loud, and that gives more credibility, that gives more trust, more loyalty. So the invitation from myself has been, break the barriers, break the walls, break them down, show who you are unapologetically, be you, because that's only by being you that you can actually find yourself, and that the people who love you can find yourself. Because how are you going to find yourself if you keep hiding yourself when you're supposed to get out there and experiment your things? For example, I found out that there is so much more about me that I didn't know. And for example, singing. I didn't know I loved singing, but I do. And that's why I'm going to also start a journey of music and singing and just expressing myself through music. And I realized that I was holding back for fear of being judged or fear that my voice wasn't good enough. But I realized that it wasn't my voice to not be good enough, but it was me not being able to stand solid behind my voice. Because when you assume yourself and you assume your voice and you speak your truth, there's no wrong melody in it. Just pure harmony, because truth always sounds good when it's spoken out from a place of love and self-recognizement and self-acceptance. And when you speak from that place, there's no way you're wrong and out of tune, because truth is always tuned to truth, you know? And if you speak that purely rawly, there's no way your people are not going to resonate with that. So that's the process I'm embarking on right now. That's what my book is going to be about, and that's where my journey is going. It's about liberation, self-liberation, self-expression in all its shapes, and that's what I'm doing. I'm helping people liberate themselves from these barriers, the self-created barriers, and not only self, but barriers that have been given to you, and just break free from the matrix within before you can break out on free from the matrix without. And that is a big journey, and it takes time, and it's a big process, but I'm committed to that, and I'm loving it already, and it feels so good. It feels so good to pick up the camera, pick up the phone, and speak out loud like I'm doing right now, just whatever comes to mind, because that is when real channeling real truth comes out of my mind, not where I'm down like, okay, this I could say, but maybe I take it out because someone is gonna get offended, or because someone is not gonna understand me, or someone is gonna misunderstand me. Who the fuck cares? You're judging yourself in that moment. And that realization, the realization that everybody's judgment is just a confession of themselves. And so when you're afraid of something and you're like judging someone, the only thing you're doing is confessing. So I realized that I didn't want to confess anymore unconsciously. I wanted to do it consciously. So it wasn't more of like, I'm not doing this because la la la, and that's what I'm confessing myself unconsciously. But I'm more like, I do this, and I am this, and I am this, and I am not this, and I'm speaking this consciously. So I'm confessing consciously, and there's so much freedom in that, you know. There's so much freedom, because what you do is you put yourself out there naked. You put yourself vulnerable, which means that people can hurt you. But if you are so naked to the point where you can just do an helicopter in front of everybody, being confident that that is just fine and that is what is good for you, then people can only laugh with you but not at you, you know. And that's where things change, because you learn to laugh with yourself. And then when you can laugh at yourself, with yourself, basically it turns from fear of being judged, it turns from fear of expression, it turns to comedy. That's what we're here for. We're comedians, deep down, you know? We're just funny ass idiots who know shit about life and trying to figure it all out. And when we put ourselves out there in this perspective of this perfect being of like, I am this meditation coach, I am this fitness influencer, I am this whatever. That is where you're so fucking easy to bring down and to make crash, because there's no such thing as being perfection. So everybody's always gonna be able to you know,
break the surface.
Yeah, to break the surface, and everything will just crumble upon you. But when you are yourself, the one putting yourself naked out there and showing yourself the way you are and being able to laugh at yourself, when people laugh at yourself, it's not anymore like, oh my God, they're laughing at me, what the fuck is going on? It's more like, haha, yeah, let's laugh together. You know, let's laugh together about me, about you. And when you mirror people in this way, this is so fucking powerful, you know? They cannot break you anymore. You become unstoppable, because the only one who can break you down then is yourself. And it's always like that anyway. And I'm not saying that doing an helicopter in front of people is something you should do. That was a metaphor.
What do you mean with doing a helicopter? Ah, okay. Yeah, that sounds so right, because it's like in general, I would say Instagram is flooded by ego. Like everyone, and actually it's the ego showing up. If you always show what you succeeded, what you have, what you own, where you're traveling, what you are cooking in the best way.
Yeah.
It's like everyone is coming there and showing showing their ego, and this inspires other people to also show their ego.
Oh yes.
I notice this sometimes when I'm talking to other people. I notice they are like talking out of their ego, like, hey, I just yesterday and then I did this, and I noticed that my ego is also like activating, and I'm like, and I like sometimes I see this, and I'm trying to stay at myself, but sometimes I experience that I like also start like talking out of my ego, and this is like maybe what happens on Instagram, that like everyone is like just showing like something unreal.
Yeah. The point is, I don't necessarily believe that they're showing something that is not real. They're just not showing the bigger picture. You know, it's like if I have this thing right here, you know, and what I'm showing online is just this. This is not that what I'm showing is not real. This is real. You know, it's there. You can see it. It's actual fact. What I'm doing is fact. It's a factual thing. I'm showing the reality of myself. But what I'm not showing is this, the whole picture. And so it is not that it's fake. It is just not the whole picture. And when you're on social media and you're so used to look at this, then you think like, wow, this is so beautiful. I also want to have this. But you don't know that there is so much more to that, you know? There's so much perspective and layers to see the same thing, the same person. There's so much imperfection, so much behind what they're actually only sharing, the highlights, the reels. And that's why what I've realized in my own process. Like, and again, I have never been fake. Like, there's not one single word I've shared online that was fake. It was real, and it has always been my truth and what I've always stood behind and truly expressed from a place of like, that is what I want to share. But I've realized that there is so much more that I wasn't sharing. And not necessarily because I didn't want to, but just because the system, the algorithm didn't allow me to do that without getting out of the system, without getting out of the algorithm, without standing out, without breaking this concept. And basically, what I've realized is how much impact what we're actually doing has, how much impact the video I make have on people, the stories I make have on people. And what I've realized is the double-edged sword that thing has, because basically, when I put a story, for example, when I'm having fun and I'm having so much fun and I'm so happy generally, and I'm doing something that makes me fulfilled and purposefully happy, and I share this from a place of like well-intentioned, I want to share my happiness and want to spread this good vibes outside, there is a part of my audience who is gonna actually be inspired by that and be like, wow, this is so beautiful, thank you for sharing this, and I receive so many of these messages and I'm so grateful for that. But there is also one part of my audience, and probably they don't even write me, and that is the part of my audience who sees my story and then feels bad about their lives because they're like, whoa, this dude having so much fun, like, what the fuck am I doing here, chilling on the couch, smoking a joint and having a drink, like, my life sucks. When actually your life doesn't suck. You're just comparing your low moment to the highlight of the best moment I had in a week and the story I posted. And that is so fucked up. And what I'm trying to say is that there is so much more, so many layers behind that we actually see online. And that's why it is so important to be aware of that and to stop comparing. And that is what I'm doing now, is I'm trying to bring awareness onto this and doing that myself. And it doesn't mean that when I'm crying on the ground and I'm feeling very low, I need to share that, because I don't feel good while doing that. It's, that would feel like looking for some attention and validation, even though that wouldn't be my intention, but like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I want to remind more often people that what they see is just a frame and not the whole picture. And that is so important for me. And that's why I'm choosing to kind of change my game online and stop playing the rules of the algorithm, because what I want to do is create a new algorithm based on authenticity and realness and rawness of contents, because what I believe is that people are fucking tired of this personal branding and content creation perfection, and where people have this wonderful aesthetically pleasing feed with beautiful color grading, and all that you can see is wonderful highlights of reels shot in the best place of the world, in the best conditions, in the best physique and best body, with the best knowledge, probably stolen from someone else or just gotten from somewhere. And what you don't actually see is the misery that's behind that. And again, I'm not saying that this is fake. I'm just saying there's so much more. And people need to know that. Because when you compare yourself to that, it is so easy to feel like you're not worth. It is so easy to feel less. It is so easy to feel like you're not enough. But actually, you are. You're just enough. You're just as enough as you are. There's nothing more that you should be than being yourself. And the problem with our society nowadays, one of the biggest problems, is that people are always trying to be someone they're not. And you look on Instagram and you see this guy, and in between inspiration there comes something with like, maybe I should be more like him, and that's where you're slipping out of yourself. And the more you slip out of yourself, the farther you get from the truth, the farther you get from your true essence. And that is fucked up. And that is something we need to convert and bring people back to the true essence, to who they truly are. And that is an individual essence. Like, everybody has something different to share to the world. Everybody has a different message. That's why when you ask me the question, Who are you? That is not important, you know? Who am I? It is not important. There's no definition that can define who I am. I can be much and anything and nothing. I can be everything, but it's not important. What's really important is what I'm sharing, what my message is, why I'm here for. Because who I am will change tomorrow, and it was different yesterday. And now I'm just a current version of me. So the true answer is I am myself. And that's the beauty of it. I am just enough as I am today, and I will be tomorrow. And that doesn't mean not working on yourself. That doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. That just means living your dream every day, because that's what you're actually doing, you know? And yeah, there is so much freedom again in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful things. A lot of things that also inspires me to show myself more.
Yeah, please do, bro. Everybody's waiting for you, you know? Everybody out there is waiting for you, you know? And I'm talking to you too. Everybody out there is waiting for you to speak your truth and show yourself authentically. And the people who are your tribe, they're right now, they're waiting for your wisdom, for your truth to be shared. And they're just waiting for this Elias, funny Elias, who's just gonna be out there and just spread the beautiful smile and eyes you've got with the word, from a place of just being you, unapologetically. And if you would do that, you will actually find out that people will celebrate you. People will celebrate you, and that actually the only one judging yourself is yourself, you know, and that people are actually loving yourself being yourself, you know, and that what people hate is people trying to copy other people. That's when they hate you. That's when they judge on you. But if you are being yourself, people celebrate you. And I'm not saying there's not going to be hate, because you're going to mirror parts of people who are not yet that self-expressive, and that's going to trigger them, and that's going to have them judging you and hating on you. But once you know that that is just a confession of themselves, and that everybody meets you as deep as they've met themselves, then that doesn't bother you anymore, you know? That cannot shake you. The only one judgment and opinion you should be really, really listening to is yourself, but not your lowest self, not the one that is not self-doubt, not self-fear, not insecurity, only your higher self. And your higher self doesn't have doubts or insecurity, because in truth, deep down, you already know. And you already know where you're going. You already know what your message is. You already know what your truth is. The only thing you have to do is just get up and speak your truth and be yourself. And the only thing in between you and that fact happening is you. And so the moment you get yourself out the fucking way and you start being who you are, yourself will thank you and hate you at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's a self-exposing process.
That's what I love about this podcast, because I rented this studio, and it was an investment. We rented it with 4 people. We invested more than 12,000 euros, and paying every month. And at this point, I didn't do any content. Mm-hmm. And I talked to my business partner, to Jem, and I was like, yeah, I want to invest in the studio. And he was like, bro, you're not doing any content. And I still invested in the studio, mm-hmm. because I wanted to make reasons for me to go out, yes. to show myself.
Yes. And
every podcast I released so far, I released it, and I was like then looking at it, and I was like, this is so imperfect. I'm talking so and then the fear is coming up, but I love it too. It's for me, it's like my gym of communication.
Yes.
You know, I'm going here, I'm making appointments. This is also helping me. I'm making appointments to come here, and then I'm here, and then I'm showing up, and I'm getting better. You know, it's inspiring to talk to you, and it inspires me to walk this way. It's like with a lot of things I started, and at the beginning didn't feel so good about it, and at the beginning I had fears, I had doubts, and like at many things, or in many cases, I came to a point where it felt more familiar, more like being
Natural,
in my more natural,
in a flow state,
more in a flow state, and I'm really I really want to go this way, and I really love doing this podcast, love talking to interesting people, sharing like so many wisdom, so many interesting stories. It's beautiful.
It's amazing, bro, and I'm grateful you've got that way. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here today. So every step you took forward in this direction brought you here right now, and that's exactly where you were meant to be, and that is exactly. And you used the right analogy or metaphor with the gym, and basically, and whatever you do, the first time you do it, you're gonna suck at it. No matter what you do, you're gonna suck at it. It's just scientific, unless you're super talented at it, which is good. But if you're not, and you just have to put the work in, then you're gonna go through the cringe phase, and that phase is so fucking crucial, because if you're not able to push through the cringe phase, then you're gonna fall back and just be in this cringe state throughout your whole life, and never overcome this cringe phase. Because, for example, when you start making content, the first period is gonna be so miserable, bro, because you're gonna be out there showing up every day, maybe making content, getting 5 likes and 1 comment from your mom saying I love you, and that is so cringe, bro. And people are gonna be there like, look at this idiot, what the fuck is he trying to do, become an influencer? Oh yeah, that's what we're doing, like you don't have to listen to that, just zone out and just be in your own focus and keep doing what you're doing until it actually becomes true. And I have gone through that cringe phase myself too when I was doing the TikTok shit, and I cannot really say I got bullied, but something closer to that, and everybody was making fun of me like, yeah, look who's there, the TikToker, huh? When are you gonna stop doing that? Is it so cringe, bro? Like, what the fuck? How can you even do that? Like, how can you be so cringe and be okay with it? And when they actually say, it's like, please show me how to do it. Please show me how you can be so cringe and not give a fuck about it. That's what they're actually asking you for. And then when you actually make it, when you're becoming who you thought you could become, and you overcome the cringe phase, that's when they're coming back to you and be like, bro, can you help me grow my Instagram account? Or, bro, can you help me become bigger in the gym? And before, they were the same ones that were judging you. And it's a little bit like the Jesus metaphor when, first they welcome him they're in the fucking place, where was it, Jerusalem, I don't know, and they welcome him, they make a party for him in a celebration, and then 1 week later, they're like crucifying him, That's the same thing. It's like, it doesn't matter what people say, just do your fucking shit, because that's only you know your vision, only you know your truth, your mission. And the moment you speak that vision out loud and you share this vision with someone else, you're just, as you say it, bringing the value down, you're corrupting your vision, because most of the times, unless you're surrounded by a community of like-minded, supportive people, and that usually comes once you overstep the cringe phase, and this is a zone that I find myself in right now, or at least I'm accessing with all the beautiful connection I'm having, for example, like you. And I'm sure if I were to share a vision of myself, you will be supportive of that as much as I would support your vision, because we understand how it works, and we understand how much beauty there is in supporting other people, and how much of that actually come back towards you. But most of the people don't do that. They don't. If I share a vision sometimes with my family or with whoever, they be like, yeah, cool, but how you? That's when you already break it. Like the frequency, the vibe is off, and you're probably gonna start questioning your vision. Like, fuck, they're right. Maybe it's not true. But no, if God, whatever was it, they show it to you, that means it is for you, it is meant for you, and the only thing standing between you and that vision is you and your actions and your beliefs. And sometimes there's something that I realized, all of this goes way beyond our logical reasoning and understanding of reality. And sometimes we'll be like, why the fuck am I seeing myself doing this thing where I actually know that probably it is not possible right now, it is just so unrealistic. But it is possible, and you just have to believe in it and just go for it, and also have patience, because sometimes you get downloads and you get visions that are for the next day, for the next month. Sometimes you get visions that are for the next 10 years, sometimes for the 20 years, sometimes in the next life. So you never know which vision is actually going to come true in this lifetime, in this place, and which vision you actually be able to own. But the only thing you can do is believe unconditionally in those visions, and not in a way of like, I am so positive and I believe it's gonna happen no matter what, but just know it, put it behind the back, and just keep doing the work every day. Show up, do the little thing, the little step, the little creative process, and then one day you're gonna look back and be like, what the fuck happened? It happened, it's happening, you know. And that's fucking beautiful, bro. And you know, like, just know your worth. That's it. Know your worth and go for it. And just don't let anyone get in your way, especially yourself, because it can be very, very compromising sometimes.
Aho.
Oh,
I think these were very nice words to close our podcast. It was beautiful to talk to you. Even talking to you twice was still interesting, was still inspiring, and I would love to talk to you in some time to see where you're going, what is happening.
yes, bro. Please, let's do a catch up anytime soon. But first, I would actually love to leave a final message, and also because your podcast is called Keep It Heal, right? And I want to kind of give my perspective on healing, and just the process of healing and self-healing and the growth and the transformation within. And my perspective is just allow it, you know, allow the healing to happen, because it does happen every day, even when you don't notice, even when you think you have to do this thing to heal, and you have to go to and take this psychedelic, or eat this lunch, or go to the gym, or do this yoga session so you can heal. It's healing every day. Every day is healing. And the most powerful thing I can say is that you are the medicine. I am the medicine. You are the medicine. We are the medicine. My eyes, my smile, your eyes, your smile, your voice, your actions, your steps, whatever you say, that is medicine for people out there. So never be afraid to show yourself authentically, because that's where you tap into your medicine. You know, that's when you actually help people heal, because they look at you and they can reflect themselves so purely, because there's nothing in between you and who you actually are. And when this is so purely, genuinely raw, that's when you become a mirror for existence itself, and you basically walk around mirroring people. And when you look at someone's eyes, you can see the depth, and you can see how much healing they've went through, and that healing immediately gets on you and heals you too. So my message is just get out there, be yourself unapologetically, because that is so fucking healing, and we're healing every fucking day. I'm the medicine, you're the medicine, we're the medicine. Let's fucking go.
Keep it real and keep it here.
Yes, sir. Much love, brother. Much love, you all.
Much love.